I don't believe what I just saw.
This is one of the great moments in the history of baseball.
I believe in miracles. Yes!
Is this the dagger?
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here
Ready?
we go.
Buckle up, everyone.
Yep.
All right. June 14th on this day in sports. In today's episode, finally the Rangers come through. The microwave heats up at the right time. The Duke hits a milestone. The Lakers and Celtics have at it again. Ronaldo affects the stock market. Mr. October also had a big game in June. The senior circuit adds some youth. Plus, actor Sun-Hyung Lee of The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Kim's Convenience joins the show to help out in this week's Dork Draft to debate who had the best nicknames in baseball history. All this and many other delightful surprises on this episode of This Day in Sports.
Mike, the delivery just gets better.
I'm getting better.
That was really solid.
Also, brevity is a key too.
Brevity.
I'm learning. Yeah.
You started off like, all right. So I wasn't sure where it was going to go, but it
Yeah.
seemed like you had enough energy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm done now though.
I kind of wish you had said "we hope." Like in here it says, many delightful surprises. Parenthetical.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah, I had that
on
written
this.
in there and then I edited it.
You bailed on the joke. That's
I
fine.
self-edited
in the moment. Friends, the thing about this show that's so great is we just got started, and I'm already looking around going, isn't it great to be at Cabin, Barber and Gentleman Supply?
Always.
We are proud to have Cabin, of course, as our weekly sponsor of this show. Cabin's a great place to go to get your hair cut, your beard trimmed, anything at all that has to do with hair. But also on top of that, it's beyond that. It's not just a barbershop. You can get anything that makes a man work better, Mm-hmm. But not just a man, anyone work better, really. Because there's a lot of things that are multi-tools in here, Matt. And I think you can come in here and you can get stuff to shave your beard, but you can also get a wallet. You can get socks.
I can get socks.
You can get socks here.
I can't get a tie clip. Though,
And
You can get a tie clip.
Yeah, you can. And I know none of us are wearing our official Cabin sweater this week because it's getting hot out.
It's a bit warm.
It's hot out right now,
Yeah.
so we're not doing that.
I saw a bunch of Cabin Fest T-shirts.
Oh, we got to get one of those
Swag.
Cabin Fest.
Okay.
We're going to be doing this show live at Cabin Fest at some point, so we got to get those shirts. Gotta get that stuff.
Sleeveless, I hope.
Oh yeah, I mean they're cut
tummy
off too.
top,
And
yeah.
also tummy top.
Tummy
exactly.
top, mesh,
Yep.
numbers.
69. Cabin has 3 locations, including the Port Credit location, which you are now currently recording from. Get a shave, get a cut, get a ton of compliments when you roll out of here with a Cabin Fresh look. For more, check out cabinforlife.ca. Thank you, Cabin. Who wants to go first? Because this is called This Day in Sports, so we should really get into a day.
That's
on
what we
June-
should do.
I'm going to
June
jump
14th.
in.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
June
Thank you, Matt.
14th. Let's go back to 1969.
Speaking of.
1969, June 14th. In a game that ended with what seemed more like a Patriots-Raiders score, Oakland defeated Boston 21-7 at Fenway Park. A's right fielder Reggie Jackson had 5 hits, including 2 home runs and 10 RBI in the game. I believe only 15 times in MLB history has a player had at least 10 RBI in a game, and Jackson is the only Athletics player to do that. And they were founded in 1901.
Yeah.
I think the most recent was Mark Reynolds in 2018. I could be wrong on that with the Nationals.
Wow.
In this game, so Reggie Jackson, he finished this game. The final line was that he went 5 for 6 with a walk, 2 homers, a double, and 10 RBI. And what's remarkable is that in the top of the 6th, Reggie came up with the bases loaded and 2 outs, and he struck out.
Whoa.
So it could have been even bigger. 10
gosh.
RBI, and you struck out with the bases loaded.
Oh, wow.
This is good because it always feels like a guy who gets 10 RBIs in a game or some big, huge game is a player that is actually kind of forgotten. Like, it's not always a Hall of Famer guy.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
remember when I remember watching, like, Gerald Williams get, like, 8 RBIs in a game or something like that.
Mark Whitten had the 4 home run game. Yeah.
Well, same with Scooter Gannett.
Scooter Gennett. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had 10.
The guy that
RBI.
everyone immediately picks up in fantasy baseball and then drops 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Reggie's
Came back to earth.
legit here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of a big coming out game for Jackson. I mean, he was already a star, maybe
Yeah.
from star to superstar at this point, I think.
Well, that's early in his career, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. In Oakland.
I'm going to jump over to some hockey. And on June 14th, 1994, at Madison Square Garden, the Rangers defeated Vancouver 3-2 to win the Stanley Cup Finals in 7 games. It was their 4th Stanley Cup and their first in 54 years. Mark Messier became the first NHL player to captain 2 different franchises to a Stanley Cup win. Rangers had 7 players who had won the 1990 Stanley Cup with Edmonton with Messier, Glenn Anderson, Jeff Bukaboom, Adam Graves, Kevin Lowe, Esa Tikkanen, and Craig McTavish. And one 1990 Oiler, Martin Gillinas? Yeah, Gillinas. Yeah, it's always been a while since I said his name.
Yeah.
Playing for the Canucks. Messier was credited with scoring the game-winning goal late in the third period, but years later admitted it had probably been scored by Brian Noonan. Brian Leetch won the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. Man, Brian Leetch comes up a lot on this show, by the way.
There are some names that, like, for some reason, we just, like, every episode, it feels like they're in there.
He's in a draft. He's in a stat. He's in a story.
Get him on.
But let's get him on.
Friend of the show.
We got to make Brian Leetch a friend of the show.
Yeah.
He had 11 goals, 34 points, and a plus 19 rating in the playoffs that year. I'm going to make it a personal mission to get Brian Leetch on the show.
Awesome.
That's amazing that they had, like, how many.
I know. I didn't realize it was 7.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have guessed it was that many.
That was a massive Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that was.
Everyone
That
was
series
watching
with
that.
New Jersey for the in the finals to get in the
Semi,
was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The conference finals. Okay, June 14th, 1990. The microwave, Vinny Johnson of the Pistons hit Frank,
please.
What the hell? We're
Okay.
recording.
Start
Okay,
the
Frank,
show
we saw you up
again.
in. Are we okay, Frank?
Frank's
Okay.
Vinny Johnson?
Yeah. There you go.
The microwave, Vinny Johnson of the Pistons hit a 14-foot jumper in the final second to win Game 5 of the NBA Finals 92-90 in Portland. The win sealed a second consecutive title for Detroit. Amazingly, the Pistons became just the third NBA team ever to win back-to-back titles. That's crazy, isn't it? That it's 1990 and no team had ever done that except the Lakers and the Celtics.
Yep.
The win also set a record. It was Detroit's 5th consecutive road win in an NBA Finals, which is also pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, it's a great
That's
team.
it.
And, well, what about why is he called the microwave?
Because he was instant offense. The idea he heated up as soon as he got on.
He heats up game in a hurry.
He was too. He was like the guy that they would bring in there, and he'd just start making threes and.
Well, we've said we're alluding to later on. We're going to talk about nicknames, and
that
keep that in
he
mind.
was that was kind of the spur of the draft, I think, because the microwave is such a great nickname.
It's such a great
His ability to score quickly off the bench.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think
exactly
Danny
it.
Ainge gave it to him.
Oh yeah,
I think so. Yeah, well, for that series, like back when they were playing against
Boston, they went in the late '80s and stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Matt, what you got?
Okay, 1990. On June 14th, the National League announces that it will expand from 12 to 14 teams beginning in the 1993 season. Of course, I'm talking about baseball. There were 10 cities that were going to be given serious consideration, according to league officials. They were Buffalo, Charlotte, Miami, Denver, Nashville, Orlando, Phoenix, Sacramento, Tampa Bay, and Washington, D.C. So it was generally accepted that the state of Florida would get one of them, but which city was hotly contested. And, of course, it ended up being Denver and Miami, the Rockies and the Marlins. But
a lot of those cities have teams now.
yeah, so Phoenix got a team, Tampa got a team,
Miami,
Washington. Miami got one there.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Sorry, and DC. Yeah.
So an interesting, maybe something interesting to just me, but the expansion draft for this was the first time that both leagues had to make players available. The Rockies' first pick was Atlanta pitcher David Need.
Yep. David
Need. And the Marlins' first pick was a Blue Jay.
Yep.
You remember who that was? It was outfielder Nigel Wilson.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Oh, okay.
It didn't work out.
I did love seeing those expansion drafts. So when that first happened, it was such a novelty. Like to see that as a kid, it was just like, this is awesome. Like just the ticker going by the bottom of the screen
So
on
cool.
TSN, and who was everybody grabbing?
Yep.
In 1945, the NHL Board of Governors rejected an application from the city of Philadelphia to add an expansion team. There had been a team in Philly for the 30-31 season, the Quakers, but the team won just 4 of their 44 games and folded after one season. Incredible. Philadelphia did not get an NHL team until 1967 when the league expanded from 6 teams to 12.
Wow.
Philly got shut
So
down.
they kind of got kicked out of the league in a way. Like, if they played that one season.
Yeah, then I
I
guess
think
they
the team folded,
Well, it's
Yeah.
the depression, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
things
think
folded like crazy.
the team came from Pittsburgh or something
Yeah,
like
they
that.
moved to Philly for 1 year and then folded.
I did see that at their first home game, the Quakers, the ushers wore tuxedos. I read somewhere.
Classic.
Okay. Well,
I like
Classy times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1945.
June 14th, 1975. Chris Evert defeated Martina Navratilova 2-6, 6-2, 6-1 in the Women's French Open final. It was the second of Everett's 7 French Open championships. Born within 2 years of one another, Martina and Evert had one of the greatest rivalries in sports history. meeting 80 times in their careers, with Martina having a slight 43-37 edge overall. One of the two of them held the number one spot in the WTA rankings every week except 23 for 12 years between 1975 and 1987. In Grand Slam finals, however, Martina had a pretty significant 10-4 edge. But I can remember as a kid those two were forces to be reckoned with, and they were always in it at the end.
Constantly on.
And have successfully created one of the most bizarre 30 for 30s if you ever get a chance to see it. It's the weirdest 30 for 30.
Really?
It's just all about their friendship. They're just like driving around like into the sunset, like
You mean
Thelma and
like
Louise.
post career?
Yeah.
Right,
Because they're pals now. But it's just like, what do we do? It's kind of like, let's hang out at the beach house this weekend and make a documentary. It's just like, what's going on in this
So
documentary?
did they just refuse to talk about tennis? They
kind of did.
We'll do
They did,
it,
of course, but
course
then it was
they
kind of weird. There was a lot of soft lens stuff, and it was
didn't
just
go
really,
anywhere, did
really
it?
odd. Like, I guess just being a jockabok a bit about those 30 for 30s, you really get all pumped up. You're a bit like, oh, it's kind of soft. It's
Weird. All right. I regret bringing it up.
But you recommend that? Like, well, you say check it out.
No, I didn't say that.
No, he's saying the opposite.
Yeah.
1991. That sounded like an edit, but 1991 at the USA Track and Field Championships held in New York City's Downing Stadium, Leroy Butler set a world record. Oh, sorry, Leroy Burrell. Yeah, I just made up a totally different
Leroy
person.
Butler.
Leroy
back
Burrell.
for the Packers.
Leroy Burrell set a world record in the men's 100-meter sprint with a time of 9.90. So 9.9 seconds. The man whose record he broke by 2/100ths of a second, Carl Lewis, finished second with a time of 9.93. Apparently in the race, Burrell led the whole way, but Lewis began closing, and he almost caught him. Apparently, Burrell told Lewis, "I didn't know you were near me until the end," to which Lewis graciously replied, "I wasn't."
Oh. Okay.
They were friends. Leroy Burrell, he's an 11-time world record setter and is one of the best combo sprinter jumpers in history.
And I've never heard of him.
No.
The name slightly rings a bell, but yeah, I would agree. He sort of got. There were a lot of sprinters in that time making more noise than him, I guess.
In 2005, Michelle Wie became the first woman ever to qualify for an adult male U.S. Golf Association championship, tying for first place in a 36-hole U.S. Amateur Public Links Sectional qualifying tournament in, I'm looking at Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania. So that is the first, Michelle Wie was the first woman to ever qualify for an adult male U.S. Golf Association championship. Yep.
1934, in Long Island City, New York, American Max Baer defeated Primo Carnera to become the world heavyweight boxing champion. The fight was stopped in the 11th round after Baer had knocked the Italian giant, who weighed almost 270 pounds, down as many as 11 times. Records vary on that, but some records say he knocked him down 11 times. 4 years earlier, Baer had almost quit boxing after he killed his opponent, Frankie Cameron, in a San Francisco bout, knocking Campbell's brain completely loose from his skull with a series of blows to the jaw. Now, Baer kept the title for 364 days, losing a 10-1 underdog, James J. Braddock, in one of the greatest upsets in boxing history. That fight is the climactic scene, of course, of the 2005 Ron Howard film Cinderella Man, starring Russell Crowe and Renee Zellweger, which was filmed here in Toronto. And Max Baer in that movie, I don't know how recently you've seen it, is portrayed as like a terrifying, he's a big, huge guy, and he is, in the film even, he's like scary.
Yeah.
And obviously he earned it, because if you're separating a man's brain from his skull with punches with a glove on,
Holy.
yeah.
You're just saying that because you played him, didn't you?
Yes, see the film.
So back to that Primo Carnera. That's he's a friend of my dad's.
Oh, really?
We've got pictures with him. They used to go hunting together in California.
And he's a big dude.
The reason why he got knocked down that many times because the night before they went out and got pissed drunk.
Oh, no.
And,
Primo.
And he walked in there going, it's just another guy. I'll just take him out in one round or whatever. And he was
didn't
so
work out.
hungover that it was like, that's it.
That's incredible.
But he was huge.
Yeah. I mean, 270 pounds back then.
Was
you don't see
huge.
heavyweights nearly that weight.
No.
Like, they're 220, and they're big now.
No.
270. Woo.
Amazing. And Frank's connected to him.
Yeah.
I got pictures. I'm going to bring him in next
That's
week.
why people tune in.
Frank, throw it on the Insta. Get a photo on the Insta.
That's right.
1982. 31-year-old infielder Mario Mendoza, batting just 118 at the time, was released by the Texas Rangers. He never played an MLB game again. Mendoza's last name is, of course, the namesake for players not hitting well. The Mendoza Line is named after him, which is basically the 200 batting average. You're either above or below that line. In fairness, his career batting average is actually 215, though he did have 5 seasons where he hit below the Mendoza Line, hit below 200.
He must have been a really good defensive player because
Stuck
5
around.
seasons batting below 200. You must have been picking it.
I'm glad you said that, because his nickname was actually, getting back to nicknames, Manos, sorry if I'm butchering this, de Seda, which I believe translates to silk hands.
Oh, there you go.
Silk hands.
Silk
That's
hands.
a great nickname.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if we knew Mendoza for silk hands instead of the Mendoza?
I know.
Yeah.
I bet that's what he wishes.
Yeah, it seems almost unfair.
June 14th, 2021, during a Euro Cup press conference, superstar footballer Cristiano Ronaldo upset the sponsors when he irritably removed 2 Coke bottles from his table, replacing them with a bottle of water. Agua, he said pointedly in Portuguese as he set the bottle down. By the time the press conference was over, Coca-Cola shares had dropped 1.6%, a whopping $4 billion in value from the soft drink behemoth's market value. My God. The next day, French player Paul Pogba, a Muslim, removed a bottle of Heineken from his table during a press conference without any comment. Heineken was also a sponsor.
Wow. Pretty amazing. That tells you how much influence that man has.
No kidding. Holy cow.
You can affect the stock price of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
1992, in the second inning of a game versus the Phillies, Cardinals shortstop Ozzie Smith took a ground ball from Kim Batiste and turned a double play, the 1,305th double play of his career, breaking the National League record previously owned by Roy McMillan. Ozzie retired with 1,590 double plays turned, the most in National League history. The only shortstop in history who turned more double plays than Ozzie was Omar Vizquel, who had 1,734 in his career. And Omar played shortstop until he was safely in his 40s.
Oh, yeah.
He was 42 or 43 and still playing shortstop.
Oh, yeah.
And still pretty slick around there, too.
Silk hands.
Silk hands.
That's right. I like safely in his 40s. I'd like to live dangerously into my
there we go.
Oh, he was
Thank
living
you.
dangerously, too.
Yeah.
Quick hits.
Let's do it.
Quick hits. We're on to our quick hits. In
Yeah.
1995, Giants third baseman Mike Benjamin, playing because of a Matt Williams thumb injury, went 6 for 7 and drove in the winning run in a 4-3 13-inning win over the Chicago Cubs. He also set an MLB record by recording his 14th hit in the last 3 games.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. Quick hits. In 1965 at Crosley Field, Reds pitcher Jim Maloney threw 10 no-hit innings and struck out 18 Mets, but lost the game 1-0 in the 11th inning when he surrendered a solo home run to Johnny Lewis. In the top of the 11th, and Cincinnati failed to score in the bottom of the inning.
Quick hit, 1998, Chicago defeated Utah 87-86 in Salt Lake City in Game 6 of the NBA Finals on Michael Jordan's game-winning 20-foot jump shot after crossing over by Brian Russell with 5.2 seconds left. The basket is probably the most famous photo of Jordan in his career, or one of them. Stockton missed a 3-point attempt as time expired, and the Bulls were champions again for the 6th time in 8 years. Jordan was named Finals MVP for the 6th time. Wow.
Quick hit. 2000. The year 2000. In the bottom of the 5th inning of a game versus Pittsburgh, Braves pitcher Greg Maddux fielded a comebacker off the bat of Abraham Nunez and threw him out at first on his way to his 9th win of the season. The putout was the 387th of Mad Dog's career, passing Jack Morris and making him the all-time MLB leader. Maddux won a record 18 Gold Glove awards in his career. Question for y'all. Mad Dog in here. Mad Dog or the Professor for Greg Maddux? I always think of him as the Professor.
The Professor, yeah.
Mad Dog's funnier, though, because he looks like an orthodontist.
Ah.
That's why I always like Mad Dog. It's just so funny because he does not look like a mad dog. I don't,
No, he definitely doesn't.
Like
No,
some
no.
guys have really nicknames like that it looks like them. I just always thought that was funny because it was sort of ironic. I think he's probably a very competitive guy, obviously, but he just doesn't look like one.
Quick hits. June 14th, 2006, Edmonton's Fernando Pisani scored a shorthanded goal, 3 minutes and 31 seconds in overtime, to win Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals over Carolina. It was the first ever overtime shorthanded goal in Finals history. Pisani had also scored the game's first goal 16 seconds into the first period.
Wow. Quick hit, 2018, the FIFA World Cup held its opening ceremony at Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow, with performances from pop star Robbie Williams and Russian soprano Ada Garifulina. This was the beginning of the first World Cup ever held in Russia. The host Russian team finished the tournament in 8th place, its best finish in nearly 40 years.
Cricket. 2015, Ingby Park shot a 5 under 68 in the final round to win the Women's PGA Championship held at Westchester Country Club by 5 strokes over fellow South Korean Se-Young Kim. It was Park's 3rd consecutive time winning the tournament despite it being held at 3 different venues in the past 3 years.
Happy birthday, Don Newcomb, born 1926, longtime Brooklyn Dodgers pitcher in Madison, New Jersey. Happy birthday, Don Newcomb, who I believe nickname might be Nuke, but Frank's going to look that up before we get to the draft.
Right? Frank's going to find that out. Okay, birthdays. Sorry, you jumped and I wasn't ready. Tennis legend.
You never know when it's going to come out.
Yeah, that's right. You got to be ready. 1969, tennis legend Steffi Graf was born in Mannheim, West Germany. Now, I wanted to mention Steffi Graf for a reason because I have always listened to other people who tell me that Serena Williams might not only be the best women's tennis player of all time, but perhaps the greatest player, period, of all time. And I didn't realize how close Steffi Graf and her actually are. So Steffi Graf won the Australian Open 4 times, the French Open 6 times, Wimbledon 7 times, and the U.S. Open 5 times.
Okay.
Now, I think she has 1 less Grand Slam title than Serena. So it's a lot. My only point is that it's a lot closer than I thought.
Gotcha.
I always thought Serena was way ahead of everybody else. Also, Steffi Graf won an Olympic gold medal as well. So, that's a pretty, she's got to be in the conversation for sure. I think it probably still is Serena because she was so dominant, but that's a pretty impressive record. Anyway.
Happy birthday. 1963, longtime NHL defenseman James Patrick was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba. His father, Steve Patrick, played for the Blue Bombers for 13 years, winning 4 Grey Cups.
Hey.
So he also served
Isn't
as
there
an
a James
MLA.
Patrick Arena? No, isn't there? I thought there was a James Patrick Arena. I'm not
There
kidding.
must
in Winnipeg.
be.
Not joking. Let's
Frank.
James
Either
Patrick Arena?
James Patrick Arena.
I thought he
in
had
Winnipeg.
I thought he might. In 1956, PGA golfer Fred Funk in Tacoma Park, Maryland. Fantastic name, Fred Funk. Happy birthday.
Funkiest
back
guy
in
in
1956.
sports.
Oh, yeah.
In 1971, 8-time
there's
and
James Patrick.
Frank.
Here we go. Yeah.
James
okay.
Patrick Arena is correct in Winnipeg there, Frank?
Are you guys noticing that Frank's only interrupting when I'm talking? I feel like there's a message being sent.
And the nuke is...
The Nuke is his nickname. Okay.
Okay.
We're on fire. I'm on
Can
fire.
I go now, Frank? For Christ's sake.
And Sandy's...
God.
batting 1,000.
Yes.
In 1971, 8-time NBA All-Defensive Team member Bruce Bowen was born in Merced, California. Bruce Bowen, one of the few players ever to have a higher 3-point shooting percentage in a season than free throw shooting percentage in a season.
Oh, wow.
One year he shot 440 from 44% from 3-pointers and less than 41% from the free throw line.
Happy birthday in 2000. Are we saying happy birthday all the time? Happy birthday.
You are. I mean, I like to.
2000, New York Knicks and Duke guard R.J. Barrett was born in Toronto, Ontario.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it for birthdays. You got a wedding.
I got one here real quick, though. Happy birthday, friend of the show, because we talk about him so much, too. Eric Desjardins come up a lot on the show. Not as much as Brian Leach, but he's come up a few times. He was born in 1969, 2-time All-Star NHL defenseman in Rayon, Quebec. Happy birthday, Eric Desjardins.
Happy birthday. You have a wedding you want to say.
I do have
don't
a
you?
wedding, guys.
You guys.
In 1984, MLB legend Ernie Banks married Marjorie Wardleholm. It was his 3rd of 4 marriages. He was said to say right after the marriage, well, let's marry 3.
Oh.
And then after the next one, let's marry 4.
I was wondering why you wanted to put that in there.
Because I wanted to do a really bad joke.
No longer batting 1,000. No. Let's check that Mendoza line.
Now, hold on a second.
Sandy's batting average just
That
fell.
joke goes out to longtime listener Paul Constable. He'll enjoy that joke.
Still cans, Paul Constable.
Still cans,
Still
yes.
cans constantly. For
There
the
it
love
is.
of God, let's get to the draft.
Look, we talked a lot about nicknames, which is fantastic. Baseball has a ton of nicknames. Baseball has a ton of good names.
Yeah.
But then the next layer is perhaps nicknames. So I think we can even circle back some time and just do the names. But we have a ton of good nicknames for baseball. We have a fantastic judge who's going to eventually judge these. Well, we got to load up these rosters. So we're going to jump in here and pick our best 4 each nicknames from baseball. And Matt, we did roll a 3-sided die on a dorky website before this for the Dork Draft. and you are picking first in baseball nicknames.
Love it. All right. For me, there's no question. Number one nickname in baseball is Ugly. The nickname Ugly, of course, given to Johnny Dickshot. And when your name is Dickshot and you have the nickname Ugly, that's saying something.
Yeah.
And I feel good about calling him Ugly
Sure.
because apparently he gave it to himself. He called himself the ugliest
he
man
did.
in baseball.
He called himself.
So you're not even picking on him or anything. That's
No.
like he's like, no, that's my nickname.
Because Johnny Dickshot has come up on the show once before about, I believe, and we were just obsessed with this guy. But then again, that's what you said. There's great names. There's great nicknames. You got both right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just your name's Johnny Dickshot, your nickname's Ugly. Put him on the board.
He's actually quite a handsome guy.
Well, I gotta say, as Frank dips into Johnny Dickshot's headshots, I'm gonna just
Frank
quickly,
is Googling something else and that came up.
Oh no!
Could, other dick shots came up.
Yeah, Frank, don't Google Dickshot on somebody
Frank
else's
is misunderstanding.
Wi-Fi.
He's sending dick shots.
Oh
That's not
no,
the same
Frank,
thing.
stop it!
Wait a minute. I did all these pop-ups.
Oh no, Frank, you're gonna get
Don't
so many.
download it. Don't download it.
So many pop-ups, so many links. Well, you know what? To the same reason, I guess it's just like the perfect nickname. I think like if you are the man, you get called that. That's unbelievable. Stan Musial, Stan the Man. I think the man is the nickname I want to take in my first round.
Pretty great. He wasn't one of my favorite players, but I think this is a great nickname. It was given to him by the Hawk Harrelson. Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt.
Yeah,
I just
great
feel
name.
like as a big guy like he is, great hitter like he was, I just feel like that's a great nickname.
Yeah, absolutely. Years ago, I was working on a cartoon for the Jays when Frank Thomas was there, and we had superhero names. And his was like, well, we've already written his name. It's gonna be the Big Hurt. Like, what is he gonna do? Yeah, perfect name.
Yeah, it's too good.
All right, I'm going to go for my second pick. I'm going with Cool Papa Bell.
Yeah.
What a great name.
Yes.
What a great nickname. Apparently given to him when he was still 19 and still as a pitcher with the St. Louis Stars, and he struck out Oscar Charleston in a high-pressure situation. Apparently that's when he got the nickname.
Cool Papa.
Bell.
That's pretty great.
I just think it's really cool to say.
It is.
Speaking of cool nicknames, I'm gonna go in here and take one of Mike's favorite players, Dave Parker, the Cobra.
Yeah, that's great.
Cobra is a great nickname. I mean, it's so badass and it fits Dave Parker so perfectly.
That
so
is correct.
I gotta go, and it feels very 70s. It just feels very much
Yeah.
like you're gonna like that. You have that T-shirt.
Yeah.
And a movie, I feel like. Well, I think there was a movie called Cobra.
It was Stallone.
Yeah.
Stallone movie, yeah.
Gonna go Cobra.
Awesome. I think my next one is it's so silly. I'm gonna take when he played in Montreal with the Expos. Rusty Staub's nickname was Le Grand Orange.
Yes.
And I just think it's so fantastic that this red-haired guy, who is clearly American, but he was so beloved in Montreal that they nicknamed him Le Grand Orange. That's just fantastic. So I'm taking that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Fantastic.
Somebody's phone.
Someone's calling one in.
Yeah.
Frank, is that you? Did the Dickshot
think it's me.
website? Did the Dickshot website want to
The
phone
Dickshot,
you?
yeah.
Phone you? Hey, you're not clicking our links.
You just turn it off for me, Frank. Sorry, thanks.
Start clicking our links.
All right, this is
Stop calling us.
This is a tough one, but I think I got to go with Charlie Hustle.
Yeah.
Charlie Hustle, because it's a sarcastic nickname too.
Yeah.
You know,
Mickey Mantle gave it to him.
yeah,
right?
to Pete Rose. Apparently, he saw him running all over the place. Pete Rose played hard, even when some might argue you didn't have to play that hard. Would you say? So you got who is that over there? Charlie Hustle, or that kind of.
Yeah, it was pejorative, but it's
But it stuck, and I think Pete Rose
And he-
embraced it too. So
he turned it into something that people used as a compliment for him. So
Yeah, so I think it's great because it
Well,
services him.
there are so many great ones.
I know,
and
it's
I
hard.
know
I
when we're
know.
done the draft, we're gonna still want to unload a few others
Yeah.
that we didn't use. But I've always liked Brooks Robinson, the human vacuum cleaner.
Yeah,
sure.
I've always thought that was so perfect and exactly who he was. And it's something that comes up even when people don't even know the reference anymore. They'll still say that at third base, whatever. You're the human vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take, I think it's just because it's such an appropriate name for him. Also a former Expo and Red Sox pitcher, Bill Lee, the spaceman.
Yeah.
It's so perfect. The more you see Bill Lee interviewed or spoken, like for the last 50 years, he's one of the great characters in baseball history. And Spaceman is such a perfect distillation of his sort of worldview. So I'm going with the Spaceman.
Yep, fantastic choice.
All right, I get one more choice.
That's correct.
It's so deep. So I'm gonna go wild for this one. I'm gonna go reach deep down in there. And any of you have Charlie Pabor on your list?
No.
No, you beat
Pabor. Apparently, according to Baseball Reference, his nickname is the old woman in the red cap.
Okay. Okay.
That's going to win a draft. If Paul doesn't love that one,
Okay.
You're going to check that? You could check that, Frank?
I
Fact check
actually-
that?
There's a big article about it.
Okay.
Is it on the Dickshot website?
I'm not exactly sure. I saw one story about maybe it had something to do with red caps that women in the French Revolution wore or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know the story behind it. I just think it's a pretty unique nickname.
it is. It
The
is.
old woman in the red cap.
Now for my final pick, God, there's so many good ones, but it's really challenging to pull in that perfect one. It's one I've just always kind of liked. And when they called Ryan Braun the Hebrew Hammer,
Yeah.
I just love that nickname. And there was a lot of people saying that that's actually what Hank Greenberg's nickname was,
Yeah.
but they didn't make it popular because of the times in the
Right,
30s.
right,
They were
right.
like, so he was Hammer and Hank Greenberg.
Right.
But Ryan Braun, the Hebrew Hammer. Love
I like
that.
it. I like it very much. Yes, it is very hard to pick just one last one, but I'm going to go a bit obscure. Not as obscure as Matt's, but
No one's going that obscure.
former Mariners and Cleveland manager Mike Hargrove, when he played, was known to take a lot of time between each plate or he would step in and out of the box, adjust his gloves. He was one of the first players to sort of do that, and his nickname as a result was the Human Rain Delay.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was kind of clever and funny. I don't remember. I didn't see Mike Hargrove play, but I think it's a fantastic nickname.
And again, I've seen that applied to other guys casually, but I don't think
But
a lot of people know where
Like
that came
Pedro
from.
Baez,
Yeah,
briefly,
People didn't know where that came from. I don't
No,
think.
but it's
But
Mike Hargrove was the OG.
for sure. I mean, and then Garcia Parra did his best, but
Oh
no.
yeah. I thought okay when I was looking through all these nicknames. First of all, it's like there's a million lefties, Dutch, Buck, Scoops. Scoops made a lot of people.
A lot of Scoops.
So many Scoops.
A few more that you all liked and you didn't get on your list.
I almost took Ron Say, the Penguin.
The Penguin. The way
Because
he
he
ran.
was so
right?
bow-legged. Yeah.
I mean, I went with Charlie Hustle, but I also wanted to go with the Georgia Peach. Again,
Oh, yeah, that's
again
great.
an ironic
That's great.
nickname.
I don't understand why. I think I do know why, but Dennis Boyd, Oil Can Boyd. That's a fantastic one, too. I almost took that.
I didn't really ever know this, but I know they called Vince Coleman Vincent Van Gogh, which I thought was a clever nickname.
G.O.
Oh,
Yeah, but
yeah.
I don't remember ever like that
No.
being a big nickname.
I don't think
Everyone knew
that's...
that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I believe it or not, but it says on Baseball Reference that Shane Bieber's nickname is not Justin.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, wait, I've never heard
I'm like,
that.
I don't know, maybe.
And Kyle Seager's nickname when they wore their nicknames on the uniforms that weekend was Corey's brother.
Corey's brother. Yeah, Corey's brother.
Another deep dive was William Van Winkle Wolf went by Chicken, so Chicken Wolf.
Chicken Wolf. I thought this was a really clever one was when Willie Horton left the Tigers. He played 2 final seasons with the Seattle Mariners in the late 70s, and they called him the Ancient Mariner.
Oh,
And I was like, that's
great.
great too.
I also Ozzie Smith, the Wizard.
Yeah, Wizard
the
of
Wizard of
Oz.
Oz is
Yeah.
pretty great too.
Yeah, that's
There's
pretty
so
good.
many.
I
But
got
Ozzie
some
Newsome-
honorable mentions here. You guys didn't Mr. October.
Yeah,
Mr. October's
Thought about
there.
that, yeah.
Johnny Baseball, Teddy Ballgame,
The
Say
left,
Hey
the
Kid.
left
you
arm
know.
of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy Koufax.
Sparky Anderson. Sparky's good. I always loved that Sparky's second nickname, Captain Hook, because you
Yeah,
always take
'cause
up
always
pictures.
take the picture out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that a lot.
Chairman of the board for Whitey
Yeah,
Ford was
Whitey-
a great one.
yeah, Whitey
Big
Ford.
Poppy
Big
for David
Poppy's a
Ortiz
great
is
one.
great.
Yeah.
The big unit.
Yeah.
And
The
then
big unit. Yeah.
the one thing, the other one that made me laugh a lot was, so there's I found that often when you're digging into this, there's the nickname that everyone knows, fans know, announcers know, and there's the nickname that the guys in the clubhouse call you. And Lorenzo Cain, everyone knows him as Low Cain, but the clubhouse they call him 3 Kids with a $sign. So you got to make that money, Low Cain. 3 kids, hey, 3 kids. That's well, Paul might have some choices too outside of what we picked, so I don't want to take away everything.
Yep.
But we should jump into our judgment here in the Dork Draft, and here we go.
Okay, our judge today is an actor, writer, comedian, and host. Best known for his role as Mr. Kim on the CBC and Netflix show Kim's Convenience, as well as Captain Carson Teva on the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian and the book of Boba Fett. He's the co-creator and host of the upcoming TV series Fandemonium, and he hosts his own YouTube channel, Bitter Asian Dude Inc., where he unboxes and reviews toy collectibles, and he will be appearing in the upcoming Netflix series Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's a Governor General Performing Arts Award laureate and 4-time Canadian Screen Award winner. Welcome, Paul Sun-Hyung Lee.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Paul, you're obviously a massive baseball fan. You know that. Love the Jays. You've even got your kid's ball cap on. Basically, it's not your kid's ball cap. You coach for that.
Yeah, I steal his clothing.
Okay,
I wear his uniforms. I feel like a big man. What I do.
And of course you're a father, and so it's like you're working all the time, going out there doing all your stuff. You must be like, how do you have time to do all that? Was your acting career?
The secret is for the to convince unions to go on strike in the States.
Okay,
so then that way I get more time off. Yeah.
In the summer.
Yeah.
Perfect, right?
It's like a cycle, right? Last year I was super busy shooting like 4 different shows, and I was away from home for a long time. And now all those shows that I'm working on, they're all either in post-production or they're just airing. So it looks like I'm super busy now. So like all these shows, and everybody, oh my God, you're so busy. I'm like, yeah, I am. So busy. So busy. So there's a little bit of that. There's a lot of press that's going on and stuff. And I am working on other things. But because of the aforementioned strike, things are a little bit slower, but that's okay. I get a chance to coach, to be a coach on my son's baseball team. And that's awesome. I've also committed to playing a little bit of adult softball. So that's very, it's a lot of fun, very humbling, but super, I mean, you forget how much fun it is to actually play when you've been coaching. It's good to see the kids go through it and you're instructing them, but to actually go out and then to use those same skills that you're trying to teach the kids is very humbling, first of all. Yeah. But at the same time, there's a joy.
Do you have a position that you play, or in adult softball, do you just rotate?
We've been rotating so far. I've been my first game, just I think based on how good I looked during warmups, they stuck me to center field, and then they saw how I had to run for balls, and then they stuck me to left field. Now I'm at first base and right field mostly. Those are the two main positions that I've been playing. So
here's a question for you, because we're going to segue right into what we're doing. Do you have a nickname? You're a nickname, like even on the diamond or just in life? Has everyone ever given you a nickname?
My nickname, usually everybody just calls me Paulie.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just like a shortened version of my name, Paul and Lee, Paulie. They put it together. Or Hey Old Guy.
Hey Old Guy's good. Yeah.
I call myself Fat Man.
Oh, good.
Now it's all Fat Old Man.
If you hold on, you're showing up at a softball game calling yourself a fat old man, and they're like, get in center field, fat old man.
Exactly. There are guys that are older than me. Yeah. Like the first game I played, the dude who was playing has been playing in that league, and it's a CBC softball league.
Yeah.
For like close to 30 years.
Whoa.
And like he's gotta be in his 70s.
Yeah.
And like he looks like Methuselah, but he's a gamer because apparently in one game a guy hit a line drive that hit him straight in the chest. He went down in a heap. They thought he was dead, but he just stood up and brushed himself off and continued to play. So it's like, okay. But I'm one of the more senior members of the team, but I'm not the oldest. So
yeah, that's a good pocket to be in.
Always a good feeling. Yeah.
No one's calling you kid, but you know.
Yeah. I'm not, and I'm also not surrounded by, superstar millennials who are running around like,
I'm going to tell you one thing. Superstar millennials know how to play physically, but they can't hit the cutoff guy.
Right.
Ever. They always try to throw the guy out at home, and it's not. Right. It's like, come on, hit the cutoff, please. Hit the right bag. Hit the right ball.
Keep the force play on,
please. Let's get into the nicknames, because that's why you're here. We have baseball, of course, is tons of nicknames. It's hard to cut it down. We talked about earlier. It's like immediately you're like, hey, no lefties, no bucks, and certainly the one nickname that hasn't really stood out in time is Whitey. So we're going to eliminate those right off. And get into some of these more maybe obscure or some ones we know, and we want to see what you think. So any way you want to do this is fine, but we want to just talk up through these 12 choices that have been made by this astute team. Any that you really love right away?
Well, I mean, I gotta, some of these names I'd heard of before. Other ones were like a revelation, and I really have to say, and I think, perusing the list, we all know which name I'm going to start with first, whether it's a nickname or not, but the actual name itself. And of course, I'm talking from Team 1, Johnny Dickshot, because anybody with the name of Johnny Dickshot doesn't need a nickname. I mean, it just speaks for himself. You go, Dickshot, get over here. It's like, how can you not? And there's a part of me that is just, baseball is a wonderful sport, and you get all sorts of names in it. And I've never, Boog Powell, right? You get these really, really odd sort of names, but like Johnny Dickshot sounds like a porn star name. It sounds like a made-up name. Sounds like all these different things into one, and it's not even the nickname. No. And the fact that this guy coined one for himself and called himself Ugly is a whole other level of self-awareness that you have to tip your hat to and respect, because the guy is like, well, this is the hand I've been dealt in life. Yeah. Right. It's my family name. My family name is Dickshot. You want to find out why? And it's a great threat too, right? Yeah. So that's the one that just really sort of stands out to me. That's why I love baseball too. There are all these fantastic discoveries. So yeah, that's the one that really
you gotta figure Johnny Dickshot gave himself that nickname figuring like being called Ugly is better than being called Johnny Dickshot, right? Like,
like power to him for controlling the narrative, right? He got out in front of it and he's like, look, I'm going to decide what I'm going to be called. Yeah. I'm the ugliest man in baseball. Let's go with that. Let's forget the other.
And look, if we all got offered that trade when we were born, like you can play in the majors for a while. Yeah. But you have to go through life with your name being Johnny Dickshot. I think we'd all take it.
Yeah. No, so that is
that's a true standout. There's no doubt about that.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. But it's also that's your family name. It's like, maybe Dickshot isn't how it's pronounced. Oh. Maybe it's Dichot. It's French, Dichot. Like, it's Coburn. It's not Cockburn. No. It's Coburn, right? And so like maybe it's something like that. Yeah. You never know. But huge respect to him for making to the majors, for getting ahead of the narrative and controlling that, calling himself Ugly, and really going down in history as someone you will never, ever forget. So I think right there, that's the one that stands out. Some of the other ones that we all know, like, Pete Rose's Charlie Hustle, right? Stan the Man Musial, The Big Hurt, Frank Thomas. You say these names, at least of a certain generation, and you know exactly who these ball players are, right? So like, I love sort of finding the more obscure ones that are, like that really sort of stand out. Mike Hargrove, the human rain delay, is another one that is really, I kind of love the fact that he makes no bones about it. Like, he takes a long time at the plate. He goes back. I would love to see these guys play now with the pitch clock, the pace of play stuff, which is, I think, one of the best things that happen in Major League Baseball. Agreed. That pace of play clock has made the game so much more exciting. Yeah. It's phenomenal. Yeah. But to see these guys come in and struggle with that, like, would be fantastic. Because then what would you call him? Like, you'd have to change his name, right? Like, maybe be Mike the Human Punching Bag. Just because his teams would, like,
the human clock violation.
Right.
Because every at bat he'd have 3 strikes called against him before he finished his at bat.
Right. Mike Dickshot Hargrove. For no reason.
It's D-Show.
Oh, sorry, D-Show. I'm so sorry.
D-Show, yes.
The CK is silent.
There is
sorry.
No, Paul, go ahead.
No, I just moving on from that too. Like, Brooks Robinson, the human vacuum cleaner. Like, that's just really cool, right? Like, nothing gets by him. He sucks everything up, right? Like, those are the really kind of cool ones where it's like, it's more about ability, right? Ugly, it's about his appearance. Human ray delay is because he takes a long time, right? But like, the human vacuum cleaner, it's like, dude's got game. And of course, it's Brooks Robinson.
Yeah.
So there's the varying levels of coolness in terms of nicknames, which makes this a very difficult contest to judge, right?
Like, very subjective.
Yeah, it's exactly like, where do your sensibilities lie? Is it just a coolness factor? Because if you're going to do that, you could go, Dave Cobra Parker. Yeah, Cobras are cool. They're kind of scary, right? Yeah. Unless you find out that Dave Cobra Parker actually likes to, like, sting people and inject them with venom and, like, consume them after. You don't know what happens in the dressing room, right? The locker room. Other names, Ryan the Hebrew Hammer Braun. I didn't know that was his nickname.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
There is, people say that people called Hank Greenberg the Hebrew hammer, but back in the 30s, you didn't often use terms like Hebrew hammer. So
right.
He probably was like a little bit like, no, I'm just the hammer or whatever. Like, just call me.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit different, but Ryan Braun was proudly the Hebrew hammer. So that's a great name too, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And then, Rusty Staub, Le Grand Orange, which is great. These are all really, really super cool nicknames. Charlie Paybor, the old woman in the red cap. Sorry. I'm going to mute this. I like that.
Well, what about then? Were there any that you were noticeably or that were missing? Were you like, oh, I'm surprised not to see this on there?
Yeah, you know what? Some of them, I mean, and that's more of because it's a product of my generation growing up with these guys playing. Like, obviously, the first one that sort of comes to mind is like Randy Johnson, the big unit.
Yeah.
Right? Not only was he gigantic, but like fearsome lefty who threw smoke. You had other guys like my favorites, like Doc Holliday, right? Roy Halladay was one of my favorites. Like, oh yeah, Doc, because I just called him Doc. He would just go out there, and on that bent too, it's like Oil Can Boyd, right? One of those names, and you find out, oh, it's actually not because the stuff he threw is slippery. It's for another reason. You go, oh, he drank a lot. Oh, okay. Yeah. And so little things like that. Andre Dawson, The Rock, one of those same examples too.
Tim Raines.
It's just
Tim Raines, The Rock. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's Tim Raines. Sorry, but it's stuff like that. We're like, on that end too. Big Pappy is another guy that I grew up like really loving. Like a big, Pappy's coming up. You don't call him by his name, just his nickname, right?
Yeah.
And, Babe Ruth, right? Like Sultan of SWAT.
Yeah.
The great Bambino, those ones are just synonymous with baseball. And then the last one that sort of I was thinking was Denny Martinez from the Expos, El Presidente.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just those are the nostalgic names that come back and were of a different era, which I really liked. Those are the only ones that sort of. But baseball is full of nicknames.
Yeah.
Right?
We could do another 24 easily. Like, like between the four of us, we could pick another whole set of teams. We actually could have done like a starting 9.
Yeah.
That's actually true.
That's
that
very true. We should have done that.
We brought up The Rock, Tim Raines. There was a year I know, and I looked through my baseball cards where it just said Rock Raines. Like they just decided to not even, it wasn't even like a nickname collection. They just said Rock Raines for no reason. It just blew my mind as a kid.
Yeah, that was a great point about Big Papi, because not like the nickname almost took over more than people were calling him more than Ortiz when he came to bat, stuff like that. It's just sort of like that one really stuck.
There was a story about just you were talking about Papi. There was a banquet that Dustin Pedroia was speaking at. I don't know if you saw this, but he basically said he didn't know my name. He didn't know my first name. Papi was just like, I don't know what he called him. He was like, hey, Junior or something like that. And he's like, because the catcher says something about Dustin, and Papi actually said, who? He's like,
what the fuck you call you? What did he call you? Because I thought he was shining him off.
Yeah, what did he call you? Dustin, it's my name. Like, oh, okay. It's like 12 years into playing together, whatever that
really? I've literally heard it 1,500 times every time I come to bat.
They announce it every time I come up. Yeah. I bat right before you, and they announce my name.
Makes you love him more. And also like I'm wearing the Sturgill jersey, so you got Pops, and you've got and Pappy and Cool Papa Bell we have on this list. Yep. Those like a head towards like the dad names, which is interesting. And you know what, you could be Cool Papa Lee if you want. I mean, just throw that out there.
Oh, that's not bad.
I think I'd change it to be Lame Papa Lee.
Lame,
right? Or the Lesser Lee.
The Lesser Lee, perfect. That's a perfect name. Speaking of Lee, we have Bill Spaceman Lee. I don't know if you brought him.
Yes, that was another one that was like, I like that last name and I like the nickname just because I'm into sci-fi.
There you go.
Right? It's just
I don't think that was the reason they called him Spaceman.
No,
I have a feeling that's not why he's called. There may be other.
You brought up Boog Powell earlier years ago. I think it was a PBS thing. Boog Powell and Bill Spaceman Lee, and I think it was one of the guys. They went to Cuba. They illegally went to Cuba to do a documentary. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. It's amazing, where they go town to town and they would say, "Who's your best pitcher? Okay, you're going to go out with Bill, and you're going to shoot around him. who's in Boog Powell's like, hey, who's the catcher in this town? Who's first base in this town? It was an amazing doc that I have actually not been able to find. So our fans out there, where the heck that doc went, it's so amazing. And they would go around with a huge bag of baseball equipment, Spaceman Lee and Boog Powell. And whenever they got pulled over by the authorities, they go, okay, how about 2 bats and a baseball? Okay, go ahead. Like, it was like, that was just giving away baseball equipment. But he seems like a fantastic guy, and his interviews are always interesting. The space.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really interesting guy.
I was really surprised when researching this that how many nicknames get reused or passed down. And, you know, because you always like the human rain delay, there's more than one person that's attributed to. And I even had one where I was like, piano legs. That's a great for Charlie Hickman. What a great nickname. And then it's like, oh, that was also George Gore's nickname, you know? And so it's fun. I think in the early days, especially, sort of nicknames seem to be maybe reused, passed down. I'm not sure how the tradition went, but it's interesting to find out how many people shared nicknames.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. And that's exactly it. I mean, if you're a left-handed, you're going to get lefty at some point. It's just going to happen that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there are ones that are more akin to popular culture, right? Pablo Sandoval, Kung Fu Panda,
right?
Like stuff like that. Where I think as those come into play, I mean, I think that's I don't know. That's one of the first really sort of pop culture reference ones that spring to mind. Like, because baseball is so like, you know, it's trenched in tradition and the way you play or something, but Kung Fu Panda is basically, I mean, that's so, I mean, movie's now, 20 years old? So it's not that, but like the fact to name, and you look at him and go, yeah, that fits. That fits because he looks like Kung Fu Panda because he's a big guy, but he's surprisingly light on his feet when he wants to be, right? In terms of his fielding. And he moves more quickly than you would imagine.
Yeah.
And so, you know, in that case too, it's like, but I don't know of anybody else who's kind of got that thing.
The only thing I can think of pop culture wise might be Crime Dog, you know,
Freddie McGriff.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think that, you know, didn't Berman give him that from the cartoon?
We don't know how accurate this nickname is for the public, but on Baseball Reference, Shane Bieber is listed as Not Justin. That's his nickname. So there you go. That's going to be, you know, how many years from now someone's going to go, what?
Yeah.
Paul, it all comes down to this. I know this is going to be very tense for you.
Yeah.
There's the three teams and nicknames. Which one do you think is our winner?
Well, I mean, it's a tough one because they're all really, really great. It depends on where you want to sort of, where my sensibilities lie. So I'm looking for a balance of really, really good nicknames based on just like who the player was, based on their how they played, and just like sheer coolness factor, right? And although, you know, you got team one, you got some really, really cool, like Ugly, Johnny Dickshot, the old woman in the red cap. Those are just like, come on. Those are next level sort of names and nicknames. Cool Papa Bell gives it that sort of dad factor. Charlie Hustle, that's a prototypical, that's Pete Rose right there. Team two, same thing. I learned something, right? Like the Hebrew Hammer, Ryan Braun. That was really cool. Stan the Man Musial, again, that's the nostalgia factor. I learned Brooks Robinson, the human vacuum cleaner. I thought that was really cool. Dave Cobra Parker, I have no idea why he got that nickname. Maybe he chose it for himself. Who knows? And then team three, the Big Hurt, Le Grand Orange, right? Spaceman Lee and a human rain delay. There's a perfect balance from all these three teams. So what's it going to come down to? It's a subjectiveness for me in terms of that overall balance, but the cheap part of me cannot get away from Johnny Dickshot. It honestly made me.
There's a quote for you.
Yeah, we're just gonna throw that on our teaser right there.
I cannot get away from Johnny Dickshot.
It just, man. There's a certain amount of joy that just obviously erupts whenever you mention that name. But it's a close one. Like we're talking, you know, 2 first place teams on a wild card by like a half game out. Like this would be definite playoff time. They're all like really, but the cheap part of me is like, Johnny Dickshot right there. But they're all so well balanced.
Team one, unfortunately, is Matt's team, and sadly,
I'll take the win, but winning ugly. It is true that I believe Johnny Dickshot was the first overall pick. So like it was when we drafted, it went right off the board. So whoever had that had a strong anchor.
Oh, so you guys had a draft.
We draft these.
Yeah.
Good.
This is our Dork Draft. We have rounds and we pick these guys in a draft form. Yeah. And
there you go.
Because otherwise everyone would have wanted a dick shot, but you can't all have that. You have
Another
to be
great quote.
What is this podcast? Just show that just that as your
series of
what is this?
Clips on YouTube. Can't get away from dick shots. Everybody wants some dick shots.
Yeah, click on that one. But it's funny because I think I brought Johnny Dickshot up earlier a few episodes back. I might have brought it up in the podcast, and truly every time, even non-baseball fans, I go, "Can you believe this guy existed?" And you're right, it does elicit an immediate response of "This can't be real," and there it is.
Yeah, that's it is.
Johnny D Show.
Yeah. Totally fair. That is not even a nickname. Just his real name is enough to get him a win. Paul, thanks so much for doing this. We want you to come back because what we always try to challenge our judges with is like, come back and tell us what you want us to draft and then what you want to judge. And we know you have so many different interests beyond baseball and sports and even acting. So tell us next time what you want us to do and we'll do our best to draft in that category.
Yeah. Cool. Sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks for thinking of me and inviting me. And it's always great to see you guys.
You too, Paul. Thanks so much for doing this,
man. Thanks so much, Paul.
No, it's my pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
More bullshit.
Totally fair. Nicknames was fun, and I think we should definitely. And I'm glad we only did the one sport because basketball's got good nicknames and
they all only scratched the surface of some of these.
It's absolutely true, and we'll definitely try to dig into more simply just baseball names. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Great names.
Well, thanks so much for digging into This Day in Sports. I'm Sandy Jobin Bevins.
I'm Matt Kippen.
And I'm Mike Shera.
And we will see you the next day we talk about in sports.